Yo, what is up, guys? It's NLG, and today we have the first episode of our local to global series. Of course, the final of the three series is set to debut on this channel. First, it was the Ring of Honor series. Secondly, it's the Tier 1 Wrestling Draft series. And now we've got local to global. So if you enjoyed this video, please do be sure to check out the others if you think that they are something you'd like to see. But this is a local to global, or as the game describes it now, as insignificant to Titanic, which doesn't really roll off of the tongue as well, unfortunately. So we'll just stick to the usual and refer to it as a local to global. Now, size-wise, you start off at 10 popularity now, which is more than you did start on 2016, and you also start with $5,000 in the 3 weeks of this. We've managed to make some money here. We've managed to walk away with $782, and now we might be able to make some more by holding our first event, which will be this episode. However, before that, I think I need to explain the roster and the company itself. So we'll start off with the product. We are looking at a no style early on. I feel like that's the best way to start the company, and then we'll see how things work. Just while I get used to the game, I don't want to pick a proper product before I've had a chance to test them out offline. But the fans would expect events and TV shows to both be 75% matches, 25% angles. Of course, there's a 15% lenient bar either way, so you can have up to 90% matches or up to 40% angles on an event. The fans are open-minded and will accept any match type. Matches under the length of 15 minutes will not be able to achieve world-class scores, which I think is a bit rough. That doesn't highlight real life in any way, shape or form. For example, Shibata and Ishii had a 11-minute match like 7 years ago, and that was one of the best matches I've ever seen. Cinematic style matches will get penalised, which is fine because I'm not using them. Gimmicks will not be necessary but will have an impact if used. Each show will need at least 3 different match aims to be used. Using crazy bumps and stunt bumps give boosts to segments. Top stars can't use comedy gimmicks. And if a wrestler is unmasked or shaved bald, it will add some heat to the segment. Now with that described, let's get into our roster. So we kick things off with one half of the Kings of the North, Bonesaw. He and Damien Corvin, one of the best tag teams in the United Kingdom and Ireland, one of the most dominant, if not the most dominant tag team in Irish wrestling over the last couple decades. A fantastic team of 2 big bruiser bully veterans. They will be great here. 2 wrestlers that I'm a big fan of. We then have Charlie Sterling, who's a rich snob. He's kind of how a lot of Americans think all British people are. He plays up to that stereotype. He comes out with his little teacup. He's got his shitty little glasses on that look like the 3D glasses you'd get from the cinema when you were younger. He's a rich snob. He's a solid wrestler, a good promo. His best work's been OTT, and he's like, maybe 6'1", 6'2", and he can do a spiral tap, so fair fucking play to the lad. I'm a big fan of Charlie Sterling. We have Connor Mills, 23 years old, from down south in London, a solid little underdog. I think he'll do well here. We've got a tag team partner for him, and I feel like he'll be someone who'll be able to compete with the best of our junior heavyweights, and he'll be good fodder for a heavyweight. I saw him fight, I think it was Jørn Simmons last year in Newcastle, and I'm not a huge fan of Jørn, but Connor Mills was a perfect opponent for him. He sold really well and made Jørn look like $1 million. Next is Damien Corvin, the other half of the Kings of the North. Everything we said regarding Bonesaw also applies for Damien Corvin. We have our first and only manager, who is Danny O'Doherty. He's a comedy style manager, very entertaining. He's someone who will be quite hard to explain. So what I'm going to try to remember to do is put a link in the description to a couple promos of his. If I forget to do that, please comment down below just saying, hey, you forgot to do this, and then I'll do it as soon as I can. But yeah, an unstable manager, he manages Aaron Jacobs. Up next, back to the babyfaces is Dave Graves, 27 years old, returned last summer from an ACL ligament tear which kept him out of action for 18 months. A very solid wrestler. He's a top, decent young prospect. He's been doing great things in Yorkshire. I've only seen him a couple of times, but I'd love to be able to book him properly here. We then have Debbie Keitel, who's considered a star by the fans with all 10 of her popularity. She's an old school heel, one half of the Woke Queens, along with Valkyrie. We won't be bringing Valkyrie in though because she works NXT UK, and I really don't want to touch anyone from NXT UK. Next up is Aaron Jacobs, who's an absolute psychopath, as you can probably guess from that lovely picture there. He is managed by Daniel Doherty. He's a very solid local brawler, and he has an interesting thing to his gimmick where, at least the last time I saw him, which might be about a year and a half, 2 years ago now, but he would have these little business cards with him. And when he beat his opponent, he'd just drop the business card onto the opponent. And one time, someone I was with took the business card, because it was just lying on like the corner of the ring, and all the business card was just plain white with black text, just very bold, all in lower caps, and it just said "fuck you" with a full stop. So fair play to Aaron Jacobs, big fan of that, and Aaron Jacobs is now in Tier 1 Wrestling. We have a 20-year-old competitor now in Ethan Allen, one half of the Young Guns along with Luke Jacobs. They've only been around a couple of years, they've only started breaking out recently. They stole the show at WXW's 16 Carat Weekend. They had a fantastic show and I expect to see them more there in the future. They are going to blow up in the next couple of years. And I don't mean like a bomb. They are two fantastic young prospects and welcome additions to the promotion. We now have Gene Money, who's a major star, a fan favourite comedy-style wrestler, a fun babyface, the dirty dog himself, a man who really took off last year. He broke out working all over the shop, a big fan with the people who watch him, or no, that doesn't work. A big hit, with the people who've been watching him. And Gene Money is someone who you can expect to see some very fun skits from in this series, especially when we bring in our first championship, which you'll hear more about later today. We also have Gia Adams, a young local wrestler, a solid young prospect. She's got some potential to her. Can we get that out of her? Let's find out in the series. We have HT Drake, a major star, the hometown hero. There's a lot of people on this roster who aren't from the area and won't like the area. Well, at least in gimmick. Hopefully they like it. We've got loads of Gregs. But HT Drake, the local lad, he's a very solid wrestler and he's someone we'll be looking to really get the best out of, because I feel like a lot of promotions around here, they don't really book him as well as they could. Following this, we have James Greenwood, who's just our sole referee. Next up is Jim Hunter, one half of the Hunter brothers, one of the best tag teams in British wrestling, one of the most underrated tag teams on the planet. They've had some fantastic matches everywhere they go, they do well. A team that I genuinely love from the bottom of my heart. Up next, JK Moody, Kane Khan, the Deadly Sins. Straight from New Zealand, they came over to the UK last summer. The best tag team on the country of New Zealand, one of the best on the Australasia/Oceania continent, whatever the right term is for it. But the Deadly Sins, I've seen them a few times now, a very, very solid young tag team. They've done some great work against each other and teaming together in companies such as SPW New Zealand. Hopefully they can do well here in Tiger Pro Wrestling. Next up is Katie Harvey, the obnoxious veteran, a stalwart of the Irish wrestling scene, and she's only 30, so she's got plenty more time in her career left to dominate the scene here at Tiger Pro Wrestling. Expect the division to be built around her. Of course, Lee Hunter's next, a tag team partner of Jim Hunter. We have Little Miss Roxy, a local wrestler. You might recognise her from places such as Defiant or WCPW, depending on what term you associate most with that promotion. But yeah, Little Miss Roxy, a very small wrestler, but that doesn't mean that she's bad. She is quite decent for this level. Let's see how she does with the promotion. As up next, we have Lucas Steele, the first member of 3 in our Empire faction. He's a badass, a wrestler who's only been around for about 3 years in the sense of breaking out, but he's doing really well. He's putting the graft, he's improved a lot. He now works regularly for All Japan Pro Wrestling, so I expect him to really develop great if he can get himself matches against the likes of Shotaro Ashino and Kento Miyahara in this save. If he can do that, he'll come along tenfold, and he could be a very, very core member of our company. Luke Jacobs is up next, the tag team partner of Ethan Allen, the other half of the Young Guns. A very good young tag team, as we've said before. Martin Kirby is our sole road agent. I wish he'd never retired yet because I love Martin Kirby so good, and he would have been fantastic for this promotion. We won't be able to have him wrestle. Actually, hang on a second. Oh, Martin Kirby, you ruined everything. We can't have him wrestle, but we might be able to get him some entertaining skits. Actually, can I ask him to go to India? This is so fun. I'm enjoying this far too much. Imagine Martin Kirby as an MMA crossover. Anyways, sorry for wasting a bit of your time there. Next up we have Michael Oku, also known as the OGMO, one of the top young wrestlers in Great Britain. A man who really broke out over the course of the last 12 months, had a few star performances in progress. He fought people such as Pac in Rev Pro, dethroned El Phantasmo for the British Cruiserweight Championship, won the British J Cup. Fantastic young cruiserweight from down London, but he is a big Newcastle fan, so we brought him up to Newcastle, and I'm sure he'll have some fantastic performances here. Up next is Miles Kamen, the second member of Empire. A solid young cruiserweight. He's doing great stuff in Yorkshire. He's not been up Newcastle as much as I'd like him to have been. Companies up here aren't bringing him up as much as they should, but who knows? Maybe we can persuade them in this save by enabling him to put on some great performances. He is a top young prospect. There is myself, the owner of the promotion. We have Nathan Cruz, the professional, a mainstay of British wrestling, and a man who a lot of companies should really be utilising better. He put out a promo recently on his Twitter that I'll try and remember to link in the description below. It is a fantastic promo, one of the best I've heard in recent years from someone who isn't called Eddie Kingston or David Starr. Phenomenal promo video. Nathan Cruz, only 28 but a very good veteran. Expect the company to be built around stars such as himself. Next up we have Ricky Knight Jr., a member of the infamous Knight family, as it states in his bio there. He's a very good young wrestler. He's got a lot of experience for the amount of time or for at least the amount of time he's spent on the planet. He debuted 8 years ago, and people were saying he was good about 4, 5, 6 years ago when he was a teenager, still in school. It's mental. He's recently broke out of the Norfolk scene. He's been making some great waves over at Revolution Pro Wrestling down south. How will he be able to act or fare up here? Let's find out. Robbie X is up next, one of the most popular wrestlers in the North. He's had some great performances in North Wrestling, also in companies such as Defiant Wrestling. He's made his way over to Rev Pro recently, breaking out, and again, 12 years of experience, but only 25. One of the top cruiserweights in the nation. Expect him to break out in the next year and a half or so. Robbie X, a fantastic underdog, someone I'm a huge fan of, and he will be in tonight's main event. We have Sami Zayn up next because I felt like we need a bit more depth to the women's division. We'll probably turn her heel in the near future, but a solid wrestler, 70 in popularity in Scotland, only 3 in the north of England, which I think I should have bumped up a little bit more, but that's completely fine. She'll be able to put in some good performances against some of our competitors. Up next is Scotty Davis, a man who is the OTT No Limits champion, one half of the Progress Wrestling Tag Team Champions alongside Joan Devlin, one of the best junior heavyweights on the continent, a man who is made for this business, a star performer. He is going to go places in this industry, and I can't wait to use him here in Tiger Pro Wrestling. Shreddy Breck is up next, another local wrestler from the Northeast. He's an egotist gimmick, a very fun wrestler. I know Luke Arthur will be watching this going, oh, thank you for bringing Shreddy in. The moment the roster page will have come up, he was probably looking for Shreddy, because he is ready for Shreddy. Is our roster ready for Shreddy? Find out. He's not debuting on this show, but we will be debuting him in the future because I have big plans for Shreddy Breck. Next up is Wagner off of the X Factor, a musical genius, a man who's actually worked within wrestling before. He turned up and hit someone with a chair or something a couple years back. Well, he is back now to work with Tiger Pro Wrestling, and he will be part of our opening segment. If you don't know who Wagner is, We have a series in Britain called The X Factor. It used to be huge. It's died off a little bit, but still a bit big. It's competition. It's very much like American Idol if you're American. And he made it all the way to the quarterfinals of the show as part of the over 28 category. He was a hit with a lot of the audience. A lot of people hated him. He then beat up a member of One Direction on the stage, and now he has his own business where you ask him, like, you send him money. It's basically like Cameo, you send him money, he makes custom videos for you. Fun fact, I once pranked one of my friends by asking Wagner if he could officiate their wedding and have the first dance at the wedding with my best friend to Lady in Red. So Big Wagner, a big part of our friendship and a big part of Tiger Pro Wrestling, as I realised that I have never sounded less cool than I do right now. And finally, we have Will Cruz, an English wrestler from the Midlands. He's been working up the northern side of the country recently with promotions such as North, Rise and Tidal. Will Cruz, a very, very solid young heavyweight. He's only a few years into his career. He's debuting tonight. Expect some good things from Will Cruz as he develops as a performer. Championships wise, we don't have any right now, but we will be bringing some out in the future. Events and TV is something we can't look at because we are in PM mode, so I'll try to do that later. Stables, we have Empire. It's hugely important with Tiger Pro Wrestling. They have neutral momentum, of course, with us not having held a show. Its leader is Nathan Cruz. His young stars, his proteges are Lucas Steele and Miles Kim. I've got to say, I love this Stables screen. I just love all the little logos there. They are so fun to see there. And now, with that said, I'm having a little look along the bottom. And we'll have a look at the creative meeting quickly. Cruz, Robbie X, Gene Money and HC Drake are our franchise players. Next big thing is Michael Oku. Hot prospects are the Young Guns, JK Moody, Charlie Stern and Daniel Doherty. Talk the Talk is Cruz and Kirby. Showstoppers are Cruz, Robbie X, Lee Hunter, Damian Colvin and Ricky Knight Jr. Our ring generals are Cruz, Robbie X, Damian Colvin, Lee Hunter and Katie Harvey. And our 5 hidden gems are the Body Guy, Roy Johnson, Tucker, Matthew Horgan, Tiger Alley and Greg Burridge. And I can promise you that I will sign none of those 5 people, as now we jump straight into our first ever event. Ladies and gentlemen, Tiger Pro Wrestling presents Lost in the World. It is being held in front of 62 people in my back garden because my back garden's big enough for a wrestling ring. A freestyle segment starts off the show where I come out and I thank all of the fans for attending this event in my back garden, for making the way over, as people just sit in my back garden, a lovely place to be. It's got grass, it's got a clothesline. Oh, what more could you want out of a back garden, except for maybe a big fuck off trampoline? But I thank the fans for coming out, and it feels really weird saying that. I'm kind of talking about myself in the third person, I don't really like it. But the promos, just, it's the traditional stuff that an owner does at the start of the first show. And then out comes Wagner to sing the national anthem. And if you're British, you know it. If you're not, it goes something like God Save Our Gracious Queen. I don't really know any of the lyrics after that, because I've not got that nationalistic pride, because this country's a bit shit sometimes. But my authority figure gimmick has got an initial rating of adequate. I nearly said average there, but that says adequate. Don't worry, I won't be putting myself all over the shows. I'll have an odd segment here and there, just to help progress a couple of storylines, or to book a couple of matches, or just to announce championships. Wagner has debuted his musical genius gimmick. It has got an initial rating of great, because of course it has. It's Wagner. Who doesn't love Wagner? And Wagner clearly enjoyed having the freedom to go off script, and he performed well, because he's Wagner. He's a musician. He is the king of pop. I have never seen a man sing better than Wagner, and if anyone knows who Wagner is, you're probably loving this right now. And you'll also love to know that I made a TikTok account like half a year ago to see what the crack was. Never posted on it, but the first follower I ever got on there was Wagner off of the X Factor. So there we go. Big Wagner, what a man. I love Wagner with all of my heart, and that segment gets a 20 as it gets the crowd hotter and the show off to a strong start. Segment number 2 Charlie Sterling comes out and he repeatedly insults the area of Newcastle. He's from somewhere down south where it's all nice and conservative and Tory and posh. He's a traditional rich snob. He comes out with his teacup. The crowd all boo him. They hate him. He comes out to rule Britannia. Loves a bit of the Brexit, does Charlie Sterling in character. And he's interrupted by H.D. Drake, who has enough of Sterling insulting his hometown. And Drake says, if you hate it so much, why don't you go away then? This is my city. I'm not going to let you come into my backyard. And then I'm like, your backyard? This is my backyard. This is my garden. It says right there. And H.D. Drake says, yeah, well, I didn't mean it like that. Just let me do the promo. I'm like, okay, Drake, okay. And H.D. Drake, not to be confused with the musician Drake, of course, but he says that if Charlie Sterling wants to come up here and mouth off, he's going to have to back up his words. Actions speak louder than words. But actions have consequences, and those consequences are a one-on-one match with H.D. Drake. Sterling's rich snob gimmick gets an initial rating of great. Drake's hometown hero gimmick gets an initial rating of very good. H.D. Drake was terrible with no script to follow. His dialogue was a mess, as you could probably tell from this promo. And I was a shit road agent apparently, which is very hurtful to my feelings. This angle gets the crowd hotter as our opening match in the company, Drake, Sterling. In a decent match, Charlie Sterling defeats H.D. Drake in 13:29 by pinfall with a spiral tap. Sterling gets a 15, who is really off his game. Drake gets a 34, a very solid performance from our hometown hero there. James Greenwood has debuted his staff member gimmick, and the Sterling versus Drake storyline has advanced with this segment and gained heat. What do you mean Martin Kirby could have done a better job as road agent? What's his psychology? Oh shit, I've pressed the wrong thing there. My apologies. Fuck off, Cortana, please. Martin Kirby has 75 psychology. He's got 75. What do you mean he's done bad? It's green. If the skill is green, come on. Psychology for road agents just doesn't work on this game. That is very, very disappointing. Match number 2 is a 4-way bout between 4 of our 5 members of the women's division. Where in a decent match, it's another hometown win as Little Miss Roxy defeats Gia Adams, Katie Harvey and Debbie Keitel in 11:51 when Little Miss Roxy pinned Gia Adams with a tornado DDT. Debbie Keitel gets a very impressive 39, an impressive 33 for Harvey, Gia with a 20, Roxy with a 24 there. The 2 Irish people battling the 2 local people. 4 not very good gimmicks there. I am very frustrated with this road agenting notes. I don't think that that's fair at all. Maybe it could be because he's like the only person agenting, maybe? I don't know, but I don't think that is very fair, especially someone with 75 psychology. It just doesn't really make sense, does it? But a solid match there to continue. I believe that was better than Drake's match as well, actually. Next up, we have a 38 where in the match of the night so far, in a bout that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, Michael Oku goes 1-0 in Tiger Pro Wrestling, defeating Scotty Davison 14:23 by pinfall with a low-down frog splash. Oku gets a 41, Davis with a 31. 2 very good gimmicks for both men. Of course, Davis a fan favourite and Oku is cocky. Davis was really off of his game there, only getting a 31. Again, Kirby could have probably done a better job. I'm guessing that you might need 2 road agents then, even if you only have like 6 matches, which is a bit of a shame, but hey ho, they only cost like $70, so what can you do? Following this, we get a 17 where Daniel Doherty comes out the ring. Shipping off to Boston kicks in. Maybe before you listen to this little promo, you click in the description and watch his promo. Maybe I forgot to put it in, so who knows. But Daniel Doherty shouts, "Oh, Doherty's in town!" and he comes out the ring, still with his little neck brace on he's had for like 7 years now. And he says that, "My name is Daniel Doherty. I am the manager, the founder, the promoter, the leader, the inspiration behind O'Doherty Productions. And I have found the man who is going to carry not just this company into the future, but this entire scene into the future. That man is Aaron Jacobs, the walking bad man, the toughest psychopath any of you have ever seen." And then out comes Aaron Jacobs and he walks out and he's a very big man, a very intimidating foe, especially in the British wrestling scene. And Aaron Jacobs is handed the mic by Danny, who says, "Have you got anything you'd like to say, Bonnie lad?" And Aaron just shakes his head slowly as Danny O'Doherty says, well, without any further ado, let's see who Aaron Jacobs' first victim is in Tiger Pro Wrestling. And of course that will be Will Cruz, so their storyline star with this segment. O'Doherty struggled off script, but I'd rather have my people be off script than scripted. It's an event in my back garden, so it doesn't really matter too much. But Jacobs and O'Doherty both have very good gimmick ratings, which is fantastic. This is why I put a lot of emphasis into the creativity for the user talent, because I do like having good gimmicks. Now, this segment is followed up with the one-on-one match between Cruz and Jacobs, two of our biggest heavyweights in the company. It gets a 24, as in a bout that had decent wrestling but didn't have much heat. Aaron Jacobs defeated Will Cruz in 5:32 by pinfall, following a distraction from Danny O'Doherty. Jacobs gets a 15 to Cruz's 25. Cruz's gimmick got an initial rating of poor. Oh, what? No! Aaron Jacobs and O'Doherty are an awkward pairing. They just have no chemistry whatsoever. If you excuse me, I think I'm just going to sit and cry for 10 minutes. I am absolutely heartbroken. This ruins my first big plan for the series, but that's completely fine. I'm sure I'll be able to work my way around it. Jacobs only with a 15, a very local wrestler who hasn't had too much experience, like too many opportunities. Will Cruz with a 25, a solid young prospect. The match only went 5:32 because I want to have a wild brawl on the card, just to make it stand out from everything else. This match is followed up by another match when a 32 in a triple threat tag team bout that had good wrestling but unfortunately didn't have much heat. The Hunter brothers of Jim and Lee Hunter defeated the Deadly Sins and Empire. Of course, Deadly Sins, J.K. Moody, Kane Khan, and Empire is Lucas Steele and Miles Kamen. They win that match in 12.5 minutes when Lee Hunter pins Kamen with a top rope splash. And of course the Hunter brothers win this match. Deadly Sins, a team that have only had a couple years of experience. Steele and Kamen haven't really teamed together much, both young into their careers. The Hunters have been teaming for almost 2 decades now. One of the best teams on the planet, evident in their ratings there. As we go for the gimmicks now, J.K. Moody and Kane Khan both debut very good cocky gimmicks. Lucas Steele with a great badass gimmick, Miles Kane with a great cocky youth gimmick. 2 not great old school face gimmicks for the Hunter brothers there. Very, very disappointing Lucas Steele's in-ring performance. I clearly haven't tracked his progression too much with regards to the mod. I feel like his skills really need to be updated because he is a very solid young heavyweight who's a lot better than a 17 rating, but that's fine, we'll build him up over time. The Hunters have great chemistry team together, and this bout got the crowd buzzing. With 32 rated match, you really can't complain there. J.K. Moody was almost injured thanks to a botched move from Jim Hunter, but that's fine, it's wrestling, these things happen. Up next we have our main event of the evening, a 48 rated bout, where in a bout that had superb wrestling and good heat, the professional Nathan Cruz defeated Robbie X in 1917 by pinfall after using a foreign object. He took one of the steel chairs from a fan, cracked Robbie over the skull with it while the referee was down. Dave Graves, who's one of our wrestlers, he also used to work as a referee a fair bit. He wanted to get his name out. He's really a grafter, he works hard, and he really wanted to get his name out there and get opportunities. So he does the running, he's the replacement referee. He counts the 3 for Nathan Cruz, and the professional gets the victory over the underdog Robbie X. 2 fantastic performances from both men there. 2 poor gimmicks, unfortunately, which is gutting to see your 2 top stars have poor gimmicks. Of course, the storyline between Cruz and Robbie X is star with this segment, so expect them to have a couple rematches in the future. And then the show ends with Nathan Cruz stood tall over Robbie X. He picks up a microphone and he says, for too damn long, the professional Nathan Cruz has been overlooked. I used to be in every top company. I used to be the poster boy for this scene. I used to be the top champion everywhere. Now I've got no world championships, but that changes here because this is my scene. I am the shot in the arm that this place needs. And whether you like it or not, this is my company now, and there ain't a damn soul here who can stop that. So Nathan Cruz with a solid promo there. It would have been better, but the lack of anything interesting happening in this segment was a problem. I guess you can't rate people on charisma, which sucks because is charisma really that different a microphone? When The Rock speaks, for example, in a promo, Is it really microphone, or is he just being charismatic? So I think it's heavily leans into charisma. So I think maybe they've got that wrong a bit with this game, but it's such a minor flaw, so it's not the most important. But the show itself gets a 36, increasing our popularity in our home region. Hopefully this means our next event will have a larger crowd than 62 people, as it increases our popularity in one region. A fantastic event when you think that we only have 10 popularity, and hopefully people such as Charlie Sterling, and I said Starley Churling, but hopefully Charlie Sterling, hopefully Aaron Jacobs and Lucas Steele can all grow and improve, and then we'll have even higher ratings. We'll compliment Nathan Cruz, praise Robbie X, and who else are we praising tonight? Michael Oku deserves it. Michael Oku gets a compliment. I've got to say that a 48 rated match on your first show as a local company, that is great. We almost barely have 48 people in attendance. We had what, like maybe 56 or 66? We'll check the news after this, and then I'll go through the event schedule, and I will make my first announcement as the owner and promoter of Tiger Pro Wrestling. I want to have a bit of a Japanese feel to the company where it's a hybrid. I want it to have the heavyweight brawling that you get from a promotion such as All Japan. I want it to have your fast-paced junior action that you see in companies such as Dragon Gate and New Japan. And I want a bit of that fun comedy-style action that you see from people like Taguchi and Toriyano in New Japan, and from a lot of people in DDT. But there we have it, a big win for Joan Oliver, a man I'm a big fan of. He won Tournament of Death. Someone I'd love to bring in this save. What's the Wolves? Oh, right, just a stable in GWF. And if we look all the way here, you will see that our feedback has been very, very positive. Of course, that is the album art for Kanye West's 2010 album. A fantastic album as Lost in the World song from that. And you'll see now that a lot of our names are just references to things. Of course, Mark here in the stationery cupboard is from Peep Show. You've got Cockpiss Partridge from I'm Alan Partridge. Here Comes the Sun from the Beatles. Where's the Spunk? Adam from Sex Education. A great show on Netflix if you haven't seen it. A triple backflip off a jet ski from People Just Do Nothing. Lost in the World, of course, a Kanye song. Better the Devil You Know, Kylie Minogue. You've got to love Kylie Minogue. We Can't Stop, Miley Cyrus. Tell Your Friends It's a Weekend. Smell My Cheese, You Mother, Alan Partridge again. In Your Eyes from Kylie Minogue again. And Ralph 08, Pick a Winner. We, of course, have two events that will be dormant. As you can see, we've kind of went for a Japanese theme with those two dormant events. Of course, in the future, we might run an event like Eye of the Tiger, but for now, I'd like it to be mainly fun type event names, because it's just fun, isn't it? But I did promise an announcement. That announcement is now that at the next show, we will create a tournament. I'll create the tournament off screen. The tournament will start in the next episode at Better the Devil You Know. That tournament will crown the first ever Tiger Pro Wrestling No Limits Champion. Now you're probably thinking, what's a No Limits Championship? That sounds like the X Division. It's not! It's a 24/7 championship. All the time. Every time. But it's not going to be the WWE one where it never actually gets defended in a match. There's going to be loads of fun segments. They're going to be everywhere. There's going to be matches for it. It's going to be hectic. It's going to be carnage. And that championship will have its first owner or first champion crowned in the coming episodes. But finally, we'll round this off. Our size is still 10. We have not ascended beyond that yet, which is a bit unfortunate, but we've got plenty of time. We have $4,000 in the bank. We've lost $1,000, which isn't ideal, but it does mean that realistically, we can continue. We can afford to actually run like 6 months of shows maybe before we have to take a little break. But it means that we've got time to build up an audience. And that's great. We made $496 in ticket sales. We only spent $1,340 on workers, which is way more realistic for a local company. Of course, it's not quite realistic when you've got people like Emi Sakura working for $30 a show at AEW, but hey ho, it swings and roundabouts. But thank you all for watching this video, and I hope to see you all very, very shortly for a much shorter episode in the local or global series. Do feel sure to check out my Fantasy Draft series and my Ring of Honor series if you feel intrigued. Luke Arthur and Max Marvelous are also doing Fantasy Draft series. They have recently uploaded the first episodes of them both, and they are fantastic videos, very interesting. And it means that you can see how 3 different companies advance forward. We're all in an alliance together in it as well, which is quite interesting. So it's a fun chance to see how the game world shakes up and advances. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.